Trademark licensing agreement. What are they? Does your business need one? And what provisions does a licensing agreement contain? Hey everyone, my name is Marcella Dominguez, and if you are new here, I am on my exercise bike because my New Year's resolution was to exercise more in 2021. So join me in today's video, which is all about trademark licensing agreements, and I hope you don't mind that I'll be killing two birds with one stone on my exercise bike. Now, what is a trademark licensing agreement? With a trademark licensing agreement, you are allowing a licensee to use the value and the goodwill associated with a trademark. So you're allowing them to use it typically on products and or services. So you as the licensor are giving the licensee permission to use the trademark in a specific fashion. Now you as the licensor are able to approve that specific way in which they will use it. So you as the licensor still have a lot of control over the permissions that you are giving to a licensee. So if there are any doubts in your mind about what kind of provisions can be in that licensing agreement, then rest assured that you can have it be very broad or you can have it be very specific. Now, of course, the more specific, sometimes the better, especially if certain things are going to bother you, or if you're concerned about a licensee tarnishing your brand by using it in ways that you would not normally approve. So with a trademark licensing agreement, you are able to detail all sorts of things, like how long is the licensing agreement? A licensing agreement can be as short as maybe 3 to 5 pages, or a licensing agreement can be as long as 50 to 100 pages. Now, why the difference in the length of the licensing agreement? Well, you can imagine that very large brands, let's just say fashion brands, for example, Gucci, Versace, Tommy Hilfiger, Nike, Puma, whenever they license their brand, whenever they license their trademark, you can imagine that they're going to be very picky about the type of permissions that they give to the licensee. In other words, they're going to be very specific because they want to cover their butts in the events that the licensee uses it in such a way that ends up tarnishing the brand, harming the brand, or causing damage to the brand. So by being very specific in the contract, you're outlining things like what happens in the event of a damage, or what happens in the event of a breach, what happens in the event that the licensee breaks the contract and causes damage to my brand. So what are the 3 different types of trademark licensing agreements? The 3 types of licensing agreements are sole, exclusive, and non-exclusive. So in a sole licensing agreement, the licensor and the licensee are able to use the mark. So this is different from an exclusive license, because in an exclusive license, only the licensee is able to use the mark. So in other words, with an exclusive license, only the licensee is able to use the trademark on products or services, and it can still be approved by the licensor, but only the licensee will be using the trademark in commerce in conjunction with products or services. So that means that not even the licensor is going to use it. So that means that if I own a brand, let's say Marcella TM, and somebody wants to license Marcella TM to put on some kind of educational product or educational service. If I gave somebody an exclusive license, that means that I would not even be able to use the Marcella TM brand on my own products or services for whatever period of time is designated in the contract. That means that the licensee, the person that I'm giving permission to use it, would be the only person who's allowed to use that mark in conjunction with products or services. Now to contrast that with a non-exclusive license. If we have a non-exclusive license, keeping with our Marcella TM example, me as the licensor can still allow other people to use the mark. In other words, I am giving permission to multiple users for the Marcella TM trademark. So that is very different from an exclusive license agreement and also from a sole licensing agreement. So again, with a non-exclusive licensing agreement, it means that I can enter into a relationship with multiple parties and allow allow multiple parties to use my Marcella TM trademark or my Marcella TM brand. And I have an agreement with each of those people. So tell me in the comments down below, if you are a registered trademark owner, which licensing agreement would you prefer to have for your brand? Would you prefer to have a sole licensing agreement, exclusive licensing agreement, or non-exclusive licensing agreement? So how do you make the determination as to which is better for you? Well, I think that it will require a sit-down talk with an attorney who can help you achieve your goals. So you're going to have to tell the attorney what your goals are. Are your goals centered around growing and having as much profit as possible and payments coming in the form of royalties? Is one deal so lucrative that you really don't want to, waste time looking for other partners, and you're really assured that maybe sole licensing agreement would be to your benefit? Or do you want to kind of cast a wide net and have a relationship with lots of different people so that you can maximize the marketing opportunities of having that many relationships in front of you? So do you have to have a registered trademark in order to enter into a trademark licensing agreement? And the answer is you do not have to have a registered trademark to enter into a trademark licensing agreement. However, it is more common for you to enter into a trademark licensing agreement when you are the owner of a registered trademark. What are some examples of trademark licensing agreements that you might have seen already? Well, Calvin Klein is one of them. So whenever you see the name Calvin Klein on a pair of underwear, more than likely Calvin Klein was not the actual manufacturer of those goods. So Calvin Klein entered into a licensing agreement with the manufacturer of apparel items like jeans, socks, and underwear. So the manufacturer of those jeans, socks, and underwear is actually the licensee. And so they had to get permission from the Calvin Klein brand in order to be able to use the name Calvin Klein on the underwear, the socks, and the jeans. So it's not actually Calvin Klein that has manufactured these products, rather it is the licensee that has manufactured these products and gotten permission from the brand owner to be able to use the Calvin Klein brand. Another very common type of licensing agreement is with universities. So you see lots of people wearing their favorite memorabilia. So sometimes you can catch people wearing their favorite sports logos on t-shirts, caps, jackets, sweaters, hoodies. So if you wanted to use, for example, the Duke or the University of Texas at Austin brands and put them on sweatshirts or t-shirts or hats or anything really, you wanted to put it on mugs, cups, plates, silverware, then you would have to enter into a licensing agreement with the University of Texas at Austin or Duke and get permission so that you can put their logo or their brand on the items that you want to be manufactured. So this is a perfect example that is very, very commonplace. I'm sure you have gone to a baseball game, a football game, a soccer game, where you enter into the gift shop and you see tons and tons of items that are branded. How long does the trademark licensing agreement last? Well, guess what? You as the licensor can determine how long the license agreement will last. You can make it as short as 1 year, or you can say, you know what, 1 year is too short and I want to make this last for 5 years. And in those 5 years, both of you will be bound to the terms of trademark licensing agreement. So if the licensee agreed to pay you royalties at a specific percentage, then you will be entitled to those royalties for the duration of the trademark licensing agreement. How much do you have to pay if you are interested in licensing a trademark from a licensor? Well, those rates vary. The rates can be anywhere between 4 or 5% all the way up to 12%. I think it just depends on what industry you're planning on entering. So for example, the fashion category, the apparel industry can be a lot different than, say, cigarettes or say the toy industry. There are just so many different industries and the rates vary. So I can't say that the 12% is great or applicable to you if you are in an industry that differs from the standard or the average. And even within an industry, the rate could still vary. So it all just depends on what it is that you negotiate with your license between licensor and licensee, and the rate that you both determine is acceptable to you both. So how can a trademark licensing agreement be beneficial to your brand or to you personally? In a trademark licensing agreement, since you are agreeing to share your brand with other people and you're allowing them to use it in a specific way, you are allowing yourself a broader marketing opportunity. So imagine having 10 partners, 10 people that you're sharing your brand or your trademark with, and you're allowing them to use it on their products or services. Well, each of those 10 people knows, let's say, another 10 people. So you have exponentially grown the recognition for your brand by just entering into partnerships with 10 people. So those 10 people were actually a multiplier for how quickly your brand could grow and gain recognition. So if trademark licensing is something that you've been thinking about for a while, or you have more questions, then be sure to send me an email. Scroll down into the description below and all the information that you would need to contact me is there. Remember, it's free to send an email. You can also schedule a consultation. So go on, scroll down into the description below. My goal is always that you learn more than you knew before you started watching. And if that was the case, make sure you leave me a thumbs up and you tell me in the comments below which type of agreement you would like to have. Would you like to have a sole licensing agreement, exclusive licensing agreement, or non-exclusive licensing agreement? Tell me in the comments below.